you know, if you say, could you picture the world without the US and what would the world be like? Yeah, the world would be a lot poorer and it would be a lot scarier. But you've also got a lot of allies around the world. In the United States, Britain, I hope, I believe, is your strongest ally. Always
has been. First to do a deal with us, and we love you. We do. Our workers come first. We can have policies that impact our workers. Sovereignty is your borders. You're entitled to have borders. You shouldn't offshore your medicine. You shouldn't offshore your semiconductors. You shouldn't offshore your entire industrial base and have it be hollowed out beneath you. You should not be dependent for that which is fundamental to your sovereignty on any other nation. And if you're going to be dependent on someone, it darn well better be your best allies. Okay? And so that is a different way of thinking. It is completely different than the WEF. I viewed the WEF as not a flagpole in the middle, but in fact, they are the flag. Whichever way the wind blew, so it blew. You should have solar, you should have wind. Why are you going to do solar and wind? Why would Europe agree to be net zero in 2030 when they don't make a battery? They don't make a battery. So if they go 2030, they are deciding to be subservient to China, who makes the batteries. Why would you do that? Why would the United States of America, which has oil and natural gas, try to convert to all electricity? China does not have oil and natural gas. Electricity and electric cars make perfect sense to them. That is practical and logical. So the point I want to make, and I want people to think about, is that America First is the job of our government to take care of our workers, to make sure their lives are better for it. And then don't be America alone, right? But be America first. And I would suggest that policy is something for other countries to deeply consider, to take care of their own, and then we will work out wonderful relationships between us. But I want to point out, when America shines, the world shines. Close your eyes and think of a world without America in it. It becomes pretty dark, pretty darn quickly. When America shines, right? And everyone said, oh, you're going to do all these tariffs, you're going to destroy the world. The world's stock markets are up. Which ones of them? All of them.
Can I bring you back to Greenland?
No. It's unnecessary. It's the Western Hemisphere is vital for the United States of America. Our national security people are on it, and they care about it, and I'm going to leave it to them to address with our allies, with our friends, and with everyone how they work it out. But the Western Hemisphere matters to the United States of America, and the United States of America, as I've just articulated, really, really matters to the world. When America shines, the world shines, because they all need to make sure America is strong and powerful to take care of them, God forbid. And so I think America and the Western Hemisphere are vital to America, and I'm going to leave that to my national security people to address.
Right. The rest of us, I think, are finding it harder to make that kind of separation clearly. And I would be curious to know how the representatives of the UK and Canada might want to think about these issues. Do you see them as starkly divided, as Secretary Lutnick would like us to have them? Does this logic of what's good for America is good for the world convince in this extraordinarily strong, extremely eloquent expression that we've just heard?
You go first.
Thank you. Thanks, Francois-Philippe.
We're friends.
So I'm very struck by and taken by the idea of putting your own country first and considering your own security and resilience. I think it's about 3 years ago now that I gave a speech where I coined the term securonomics, which was all about building security and resilience in your economy. And the days when it didn't matter where things were made and who made them were in the past. And that's become increasingly clear since the pandemic, when we were over-reliant on PPE and medicines from abroad. And then again, when Russia invaded Ukraine because of what happened to oil and gas prices. I guess for an economy like the UK, the way in which we will pursue our national interest is going to be different from the way in which the US pursues theirs. You are a much bigger economy, and we can't do everything on our own, nor should we try to, because we'd end up doing nothing well. But we do have real strengths in the UK, in our defence sector, in life sciences, in business and financial services. But we do rely on our allies as well, and even a country as big and as strong as America also relies on its allies. And I guess the sort of area where I think that we do need to sort of continue that dialogue between countries that share each other's values is how we can work together in our mutual interests to advance our values in, a very unstable and uncertain world. And you know, if you say, could you picture the world without the US and what would the world be like? Yeah, the world would be a lot poorer and it would be a lot scarier. But you've also got a lot of allies around the world. In the United States, Britain, I hope, I believe, is your strongest ally.
Always has been. You're the first to do a deal with us, and we love you. We do. We do.
Thank you very much. Feeling is mutual, but we do need to think about where the threats are and who our friends are. And I think that's probably more stark for smaller economies. But even for the US, when you think about, I was in the States, as you know, last week for a meeting of G7 plus a few other finance ministers to talk around critical minerals. Now, you do have some reserves of critical minerals, but not everything you need. 90% of your critical minerals at the moment come from the US, from China. You need to wean yourself off those.
Sure.
Yeah, but you won't be able to do that without the help of Canada and Australia and other countries. And so for all of your strengths, we do also need to think how we can preserve some of the things that the US has benefited from in the NATO alliance and the Western alliance, not because it is the benevolent or the right thing to do, but because I profoundly believe it is in your country's national interest. The other thing I just wanted to say, Adam, in terms of sort of building security and resilience, but for my country, it's about our industrial strategy, where we're really focusing on these sectors where we are really good. We're not going to be a semiconductor superpower in the UK. That's not realistic.
So
but we've
like
got friends.
biotech.
Yeah, life sciences, biotech, financial services, which is obviously absolutely crucial for financing things like the exploration for critical minerals and the extraction of those critical minerals. We've got real strength with the London Metal Exchange in London, for example. But we have some reserves of lithium and tungsten. We're not going to be a big global supplier of critical minerals. So we have strengths. Defence is another one. And our trade strategy is also around our security and resilience, where we are trying, and this is different from the US approach, I absolutely acknowledge that, we are trying to reduce barriers to trade. You know, we've done trade deals this year with you, with India, with Korea, and we're also reducing trade barriers with the EU. There's more that we want to do together between the UK and Canada. We regard it in our national interest to reduce the cost of living for people in Britain, but also providing more opportunities for businesses in the UK to then export around the world. And, you know, energy security is important to us as well. We do have some reserves of North Sea oil and gas, and they will be important for many decades to come. But we are a net importer of oil and gas. We do have, because of the shallow waters in our seas, big opportunities around wind technology. We don't have what you have in the US, and so we've got to find our own way to boost our energy security. And we strongly believe that renewables is a really important part of that mix, as is nuclear. There hasn't been sufficient investment in nuclear for a long time. We've signed off Sizewell C, big nuclear reactor, as well as small modular reactors in North Wales. So, you know, that security for us is around energy security, our security through our industrial strategy and our trade strategy as well. So I think a lot of shared analysis of what the problem is. The solution is going to be different in every country, but what I would urge Howard and others in the administration just to think of is how your allies can also help you achieve your objectives, which I think are in your national interest, as well as helping all of the Western world to thrive.